Hello and welcome. My name is Laini. I'm busting out of my skin to share this information because I know that it is so desperately needed. If you haven't watched the introduction video, please go ahead and watch it. We busted some myths about perimenopause. We reframed what perimenopause can mean to us. We talked about what to expect this week, and we even spoke about the doctors and the studies that have informed the content for this week. Today is the topic is what all women need to know about perimenopause. And then for the rest of the week, we're focused on solutions. But right now, I need to backtrack just for a second because I've got some women to celebrate. In the introduction video, I issued a challenge for all of you to take a photo of yourselves in an affirming pose or doing something affirming. I gave you lots of cute ideas, but they were also very powerful as well. And I have just adored seeing the photos come through. I love that you participated, and I love that you caught the vision for what's possible for yourself as you step into this chapter of perimenopause, knowing that you can do so with excitement, feeling empowered that you don't need to be a victim in your life, and that you really can have a large role to play in how your health and your life unfolds. In fact, epigenetics is now telling us that around 90% of our health is within our control through our lifestyle choices. And nutrition is a huge part of that. And so, yes, excitement about the coming week because we get to learn about the power of food to help us thrive in perimenopause. But just look at these photos. I just love it. Thank you so much. And if you haven't taken your photo yet, it is not too late. Please take your photo, post it in the Facebook group, and I will be there celebrating every minute of the way. This is not a live video, as you know. And so I love the interaction that is in a live video. And so I get to have that a bit in the comments. So please don't hesitate commenting. I will love reading and responding to each one of your comments. All right. What to expect today? Little bit of a snapshot of what perimenopause is. When is it? Hormones 101. What are the symptoms? What are the health risks? Why do we have the symptoms? Do we even need to have the symptoms? And I also want to help you identify what stage of perimenopause you might be in right now. First, menopause. Let me ask you a question. How long do you think menopause lasts for? Please write in the comments your answer, not just think it in your head. How long do you think menopause lasts for? Do you think it's 5 years? Maybe 10 years? Maybe as short as 3 years? It's actually only 1 day. So you can be in a season of perimenopause and then 1 day of menopause, and then you're classified as postmenopausal. And the reason for that is that menopause is actually the 12-month anniversary of the last date of your period. That's all it is. It's just an anniversary date. So what about perimenopause? Perimenopause is different for all of us. It happens over a varied amount of time for each of us, but basically it's the transition from having regular monthly periods to then them becoming erratic. So for example, you might initially skip a couple of months and then bleed again for 3 before missing 1, and then bleed again, and then not menstruate for another 5 months before it comes back again. Any version of an irregular pattern is an indication that you might be in perimenopause. Now, you might be forgiven for thinking that you need to look like this lovely woman here to be classified as being in perimenopause. You know, the hot flushes, the sweats, maybe mid 50s, something like that. But in reality, a more accurate reflection of a woman entering perimenopause is this one. It's me with our daughter Rose. I'm 42 years old, and that is the average age of perimenopause onset. Does that blow your mind like it did mine when I first learned? Thought it was much later in life. Okay, let's have a look at some stats. I'm going to make this a bit bigger so you can see. Like I said, 42 is the average onset age, but it can be as early as your late 30s. 4 to 7 years is the average amount of time that perimenopause can last, but it can be up to 12 years. And 51 is the average age that we achieve menopause, but it can be as early as 45 to 55. Let's do a little hormones 101. We can't talk about perimenopause without hormones. Here we go. Hormones are another word for messengers. And hormones is just so powerful because they work together to send messages through your entire body, through your bloodstream, to the organs, to the cells. And then they're like little gossipers. They go through your whole body. They listen to what's going on in all the organs and the cells. And then they run back to the brain and they tell the brain what's happening. The brain will then tell the hormones or the messengers what should happen through the rest of the body. So then the hormones go back to the organs, back to the cells, and boss them around and tell them what to do. I hope that paints an okay picture about what hormones are. But I want to talk about two of them, progesterone and estrogen. I'm not going to go deep. I just want to give a level of understanding to those who haven't heard of it before about how they interact and what they do, because it's really important to help us understand how we can support ourselves through perimenopause. Progesterone calms the brain, helps us to sleep, helps us feel emotionally balanced, helps us feel like everything's okay. It's actually the most powerful anti-stress and anti-anxiety hormone. We love progesterone when it's in balance. Progesterone actually prevents heavy bleeding in your period by thinning out the wall of the uterus. So if you have a really heavy period or if you have a clotty period, that might be an indication that your progesterone levels are quite low. And here's the thing to remember, as we'll soon see, when you stop ovulating in perimenopause, you will actually stop producing much progesterone. And that's where the fun often starts for many women who are having a rough time in perimenopause. All right, estrogen. Estrogen triggers the release of serotonin, supports the healthy mood and sleep. We want estrogen too. They're both beautiful hormones when they're in balance. Now, estrogen's important for a whole range of other things that I won't go into right now, but it's made of 3 parts of our body. But for the vast majority of estrogen, it's made in our ovaries, which is why when we achieve menopause and we're not ovulating anymore, we'll maintain really low levels of estrogen for the rest of our lives. In fact, around 10% of what we enjoyed pre-menopause, which is that's a lot, right? And here's the thing to remember. It's actually the fluctuation of estrogen, the highs and the lows, that cause such a wide range of symptoms in perimenopause. So this is the picture that I want you to remember, that progesterone and estrogen, when they're in balance, keep things nice and calm. We feel good. Our bones are strong. Our muscles are strong. Our anxiety is in check. Our sleep is good. Like everything is just nice and dandy. So we want to learn all the tools we can to keep our hormones balanced. All right. Now we do need to change gears and talk about symptoms. Yes, we do need to go here. Many of us would like to skip this part, but it's important to understand. Here we go. Dr. Kate Birmingham said that menopause is a time of major metabolic upheaval, which can have a significant impact on long-term health. Well, that's not a surprise, is it? Menopause is known as a tumultuous time for a reason. Now, she was the head author on a study that investigated 25,000 women. And of those women, 81% reported difficulty sleeping, 65% reported feeling anxious, and 68% reported brain fog. And a measly 2% that they did not have perimenopause symptoms. That is not good enough. 2% of women not getting perimenopause symptoms. Okay. All the women who are watching this education series, whether, live in the first week or on the replays, you and I, with the tools that we're going to learn and gather in this week together, we can collectively raise that 2%. Like we have to, that is an abysmal number. And we need to teach our daughters, and they need to teach their daughters. We need to reinvigorate women to be able to actually function throughout the whole of our life, not just pre-40s or 50s. Oh, gee, it riles me up. Okay. The next study was really good too. They looked at 1,000 women, all in hospital having blood tests and body scans at various times. And those studies showed the following symptoms: brain fog, memory loss, anxiety, reduced muscle mass, bone mass loss, depressive symptoms, insomnia, joint pain, hot flushes, headaches, migraines, night sweats, fatigue, weight gain, especially around the tummy area, inflammation, anxiety, I said that already, higher blood pressure, low libido, inability to orgasm, vaginal dryness and discomfort during sex, urinary incompetence, bloating, fluid retention, breast tenderness, facial hair loss, digestive issues, itchy, dry skin, worse blood lipids, dizziness, allergies, worse blood sugar responses, and more sugar cravings. Oh, it's a lot, right? The author of the study, Dr. Birmingham, said that the symptoms during perimenopause are seemingly endless. Gosh. Now, it's not just the symptoms of perimenopause. Perimenopause, when it arrives on our doorstep, also brings with it my little bestie, which is the health risks for diseases and other stuff that we don't want, including insulin resistance, which can also lead to type 2 diabetes, as well as cancer, heart disease, dementia, obesity. And I would also add in there muscle loss, bone loss, osteoporosis, the list goes on. And the ones there on screen are all amongst the biggest killers today. Now, we know that can be actually quite confronting. It can be quite scary because we are the sex who are facing this issue, either in the short term or the long term if you're a long way off. But what I want to say is that we can take heart because we're about to cover some really encouraging data shortly. But for now, let's remember something that one of my favorite doctors, Dr. Libby Weaver, said. Challenging symptoms offer us insight into areas that need support and the changes our body is prompting us to make on how we eat, drink, move, think, breathe, or perceive. She's saying that when we have symptoms in perimenopause, that's our body trying to tell us that something's not right. Can you please change something? Can you please support me better? Can you please listen? But the hard thing is that most women today in our modern world don't know how to listen to their body. They're not even listening. They think it's normal. They think it's just what we need to go through. It's inevitable. And then of those women, those who do notice and go, oh, I wish I didn't have to experience this, don't have the tools they need to support themselves, to respond the way their body's asking them to. That is what we are all here for this week. We are going to learn the tools to respond to our body when it's asking us to. Gosh, if we could all just do that, how different would our lives be? Now, symptoms don't just happen like Dr. Libby Weaver said. There's always a reason our body's trying to tell us something. So let's take a peek behind the curtain of one really common symptom within perimenopause, which is brain function and mental health. Did you know that as a woman, your highest risk season of time for being prescribed antidepressants is in perimenopause? So your lifetime risk for anxiety and depression skyrockets with perimenopause and then plummets again after menopause. Also, progesterone and estrogen both drop, which causes havoc for your poor brain, who then literally has to rewire itself to adapt to the changes in hormonal input. And so that problem that your brain is facing, it's wigging out going, whoa, everything's changing. I need to adapt and change, which it's very capable of doing, but we're going to give it some time. And so while your brain is changing and adapting and rewiring, that is when women are complaining of brain fog, memory loss, anxiety, depression. So again, if we can keep those hormones in check, in balance, your brain doesn't have to wig out. We can protect our brain from having to deal with all those changes in the hormonal inputs. Doesn't need to rewire itself as much when we are supporting it well. So it's really important to learn how to do that. All right, shifting gears. I promised you guys that I would help you identify which stage of perimenopause you might be in. There are two of them. There's early stage perimenopause and late stage perimenopause. Easy, right? Which one are you in? Well, in early stage perimenopause, let me make this bigger again for you. Periods can be slightly closer together, even if it's just by 1 or 2 days. You might notice a difference. Progesterone levels start to drop. And as a result, that causes your estrogen to be relatively high. Because remember, they interact. A drop in progesterone will mean that your estrogen is comparatively high. It doesn't just stay the same. It's really the balance between the two more than the levels. Now, because of that, you might then start to experience symptoms of both low progesterone and high estrogen, which is not much fun. I have had that experience, and it was a result of a long period of stress in my life, which caused this same hormonal imbalance, I should say. And so when we're in that state of imbalance, whether it's from prolonged stress for too long or whether it's from early stage perimenopause, some of us can swing from calm to angry in minutes or even seconds. And please take heart. You haven't had a personality change, and this won't last forever. I remember being kind of scared looking on at myself when I was behaving in a way that, gosh, like I didn't feel like a good mum. I didn't even feel like a good person. I was just like, who am I? Like, this is not me. I had no control of myself. And my periods did what I explained before. They became quite heavy. They became quite clotty because the progesterone was low and estrogen was high. And so as the brain changes and the emotions you feel start to change, it's all very natural and it can be helped by supporting those hormones to get back into balance naturally. We need to remind ourselves that we are freaking amazing and we're going through a massive adjustment when we go into perimenopause. If we are gentle on ourselves, allow ourselves the space to rest and let our body adjust and adapt, then it will pass when we look after ourselves. Okay. The symptoms of early stage perimenopause are vast, and I'm not going to read them in the interest of time, but what I want you to do is just have a look at the screen there and see if you can see yourself in the picture. Can you identify your symptoms in there? And if you can, and you also match a bit of the criteria that we spoke about earlier, then that might indicate that you're in early stage perimenopause. The length of your cycle might still be regular, which is a reason that a lot of women fail to recognize that they're actually in perimenopause because they think, well, my period is predictable. It's coming at the same time each month, so I can't be in perimenopause, even if they have the symptoms and they're in the age bracket. So if you're not sure, you can talk to your healthcare practitioner and I'm sure that you'll get some great guidance. All right, late stage perimenopause happens in your late 40s to early 50s. It's when estrogen joins progesterone in both declining. And you might start skipping some periods, or your periods might be lighter and further apart. Late stage symptoms include It's the fun. The night sweats, low libido, hot flashes, and vaginal dryness. And those symptoms can last about half a year to even up to 5 years past menopause if, again, you're not supporting yourself optimally. So here's the thing that I want us to take away. It's the estrogen cycle. High estrogen gives us heavy periods and headaches. Low estrogen gives us hot flushes and night sweats. That might be just a really nice simplistic way to help you identify which stage you're in, early to late. I want to touch on one common symptom of late stage perimenopause, which is the hot flushes. I still remember my mum standing in the kitchen being incredibly flustered and just like really losing it. And she was like feeling anxious and hot and stripping off. And that's what a lot of women feel like. It's very all encompassing. 8 out of 10 women experience that, by the way, in late stage perimenopause. So it's a lot of us. So tip number one, layer your clothing so you can strip off when you need, but also as a way to support yourself. If you eat half a cup of this one particular food every day for 12 weeks, studies have shown an 84% reduction in hot flushes. That is significant. Super cool. And you'll have to stay tuned for the week to discover which food it is. As excited as I get about educating about perimenopause, I don't want to mislead people. So there are some reasons that your symptoms could match perimenopause symptoms, but it might be something else. Here are some reasons. Could be stress. That was exactly my case that I just told you about. The period changes matched perimenopause. The mood changes matched perimenopause, but it was stress. Thyroid issues, or it could be perimenopause complicating an existing condition. So again, if you're not sure, go and talk to your healthcare practitioner, and I'm sure, again, you'll get some great guidance. Okay, now as a bit of a wrap up, you guys, before I give you one little challenge for today, I hope that you found this insightful. We've spoken about, menopause is just one day long. Perimenopause is like 4 to 7 years. I'm the average age of 42 for it to start. We've talked about the symptoms and the health risks and helped you identify which stage you might be in. So I hope it's given you a good lay of the land, a good snapshot as to what we're facing, what perimenopause is, what the majority of women are experiencing, and hopefully it's actually given you a lot of motivation to learn how to support yourself better through it so that you can avoid at least a large majority of those things, if not all. It's possible. And I can't wait to share it with you. For today, I would love for you to answer a question for me in the comments. Tell me, what stage of perimenopause are you in? Or maybe you're pre-peri. What is the symptom that you'd like to address or prevent the most? Or maybe what surprised you the most today? I just want to talk with you in the comments. I miss the live video interaction in videos like this. So I'll be waiting in the comments for you. I'd love to read your experiences, your thoughts, and respond. Tomorrow, we get to start talking solutions. And specifically, we are getting into foods that balance estrogen. Now, that is so needed, as we have discussed today. How much beauty and balance comes when our hormones are stable. And we can address that really well through food a lot of the time, not every time, but we can do so much with food. And I can't wait to share that with you. Have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.